All, this is Mobeen Sayed. Welcome to the cafe. Do you know that this has been a complete 1 month? I just saw that the last time we were at the cafe was August 1 and today is September 1. So my apologies, I became sick as well. I traveled to, and then here we are. So I've been doing lectures for Dr. Bean as well. And John, is John here? Yes, so John is here. John, you were saying about the title. I changed it to how do I activate autophagy? Maybe that is a little more clear than before. John says that Dr. Bean, that talk was fantastic. Needs better title than when does auto. Yes, so I changed it to um, how to activate autophagy. Maybe it can be even better, but if anybody has some ideas, please tell me what was it that you liked the most from that talk, and I can make that into a title. So uh, background to what's happening. So as I'm doing one lecture daily for Dr. Bean, so John says it should talk about the benefits. So I said, how do you begin? How do I activate autophagy for health? We could make it even better. Um, how to remove trash from the cells for better health. How about that? So what do you think, John? Doug Rowe says that you're multitasking. Correct. So I'm going to show you with my screen what I'm going to be drawing. But I have been nowadays doing two lectures, one for Dr. Bean and one for here. And the reason is for Dr. Bean, for about 2.5 years, there have been very few my lectures. There have been other teachers' lectures, but my lectures have been less. And as much as it is only at $97 or $67, but still the members say, where are more lectures? So I have started putting some lectures for Dr. Bean to kind of catch up there. So I'm going to show you how far I am on that and how do I do this. But let's look at the title first. So Robin says, time restricted eating and the benefits of autophagy. Okay, so that is one. Texas says, how do I dispose of body trash? Let me count the ways. That is interesting. Yes. Robin, your title is nice too. How to boost, Broken says, how to boost autophagy for better health. That's what I kind of made. What else? Bay Area Aquarius says, no loose skin surgery needed after Weightless. Yes, weight loss. Broken, interesting title, how to boost autophagy. Uh, Robin, time restricted eating. That's actually a good one. Broken, maybe that Dr. Bean. I'll show you the in a second. Sexy bacteriophage. Actually, it is so funny that the bacteriophage that I have on the screen right now is actually lying down. So it is sexy, but it is being killed. Uh, okay, so Broken says that you said sounded good. So decide how to activate autophagy for health. Doug says he likes it. So that is what I just made it. Rand says, Dr. Bean, I do intermittent fasting, but I take hydroxychloroquine. Can I ever enter autophagy? If not, how can I get rid of my trash? So autophagy would always happen. It's just the how fast or how slow, how much autophagy. So because hydroxychloroquine reduces the acidity of the vesicles that are participant in autophagy, it reduces the intensity and capability of autophagy. So that means if you have to clear the trash, you may have to take, for example, resveratrol, or you may have to take some coffee or amantoflavone. There are some other inducers of autophagy that can then break through the um, hydroxychloroquine's effect by just bringing more trash to those vesicles. The basic way to counter hydroxy is to actually, number one, stop hydroxy. But if you bring in anything that would increase the acidity, then it would actually just disable hydroxy's function. John says, why you need to know about autophagy, what autophagy means. That's a good one. So, cell death made. Meanwhile, in America, says cell death made sexy. That's true, actually. Become sexy with the cell death. Nicolene says, more. Okay, so let me take away because you said you would sleep more. They found out people who sleep lesser than 4 hours or more than 10 hours, they do not have sufficient benefit of sleep. It's actually counterproductive. So you have to be between lesser than 10 hours. A new you, cellular regeneration through autophagy. That is actually good. That is a good one. Meanwhile, in America says, is this maybe why so many diet fads rely on include vinegar, apple cider? Yes, to create an acidic. Yes, that is correct. Because acidic environment allows more efficiency of autophagy. So this is just like if there is a acid present in a container, and how pure is that acid, how intense is that, less water or more water in it, so that is how it would decide how much it would digest. Trash. So what is the one title that we have finally decided? Whose title should we can actually try multiple titles. Why you need to know what autophagy means. Okay, so I'm going to change that title, and we'll see how does that perform. If not, we'll change it again. Okay, so let's see. So if I go in here, the current title says how to activate autophagy for health. I'm going to change it to, so you're correct. John, I am just so bad at writing good titles. So what is the title? I was thinking clear cell trash by autophagy. Ramnik says feeling lazy, start autophagy. Texas says autophagy for the 3 times in your life. Keeney says you're trying to get more likes to Dr. Bean. Yes, that we should do. Okay. John Snyder says I'm still hung up on the donkey. John, did you like the donkey? Put the trash and get a new body. Take away the trash. Clear cell trash by autophagy. All right, I'm gonna make it. John says, I want you to reach the common man like me with your great insights. Your audience is varied. That is correct. How do I say it? John says donkey was. John is still enjoying the donkey. I was cracking up when I was. Though two things made me laugh. Actually, three things made me laugh. One was when I made that little vesicle that was biting at the endoplasmic reticulum. I was kind of visualizing it going and munching away at that, and the endoplasmic reticulum saying, "What the heck are you doing?" And so that made me laugh. And then the other one where the donkey was taking the trash to the vesicle. And the third one was those little proteins. They were the ubiquitins were tagging and taking them to the proteasomes, and the proteins were saying, "Ah!" So that was funny. So DDS says, is it autophagy or autophagy? So I actually used to call it autophagy. Then I went and I found the pronunciation and it says autophagy. So Robin Prime, E Prime, my friend, take not fake. It's both. The title, Radical Health Benefits of Autophagy. Okay, I'm gonna do that, Robin. We shall see what happens. Radical health benefits of autophagy. Okay, so radical health benefits of autophagy. All right, I'm going to change this and we shall see what happens. Okay, done. We'll test this today. If it didn't work, then tomorrow we'll change it to something else. Okay, so now drive to the dump autophagy. That's funny. Text ads Tech answer says Dr. Beans becoming radical. I'm being radicalized by the KoolBeens. Okay, so change the title. Oh, this is a good one too. Essential autophagy for excellent health. This is a good one as well. So now we have so many good titles. Okay, we'll try them one by one. All right. So please be my guest, have a chat while I'm going to show you how I draw my next part. So this drawing, actually, let me show you this little lecture. So this is what I was doing this morning at 7 o'clock, because the YouTube talks are from 1 o'clock till 6 and 7. So I don't work in that time. So I start working 5 or 6 in the morning. So this is the bacteriophage. And then bacteriophage name, bacterium and phagine are the words together. Bacterium gives the word bacterio, and phagine is a Greek word that means to devour, to eat, and phage is taken from there. So this is, I don't know if it is that clear. This is the bacteriophage eating a bacteria. And then here is how a bacteriophage is actually constructed. There is a head and a tube or tail tube. Then there is a collar and a sheath and a base plate. They all wrap around that. Then there are legs. They are put on it. So it almost looks like, as Texas was saying, an alien. So this is a structure that is formed. Then, so I just made a little artwork of this. This is this little worm inside is actually the DNA of it, the brain. And so this is eating the pathogen. This is the habitat. So it lives in. Do you know that in this world, bacteriophage is the most abundant organic structure? It is more than the bacteria as well. Of course, it infects the bacteria, so it is naturally more than the bacteria. Then it has legs, but it doesn't really work with those legs. I mean, look, it's the tiniest thing. How can the leg have muscles and work? So the legs are just there to give it stability, but it just moves around with Brownian movement. That is, it just pushed around and it just floats away. And then it lands on a bacteria. It injects its little spikes in the bacteria. These are called, this process is called adsorption. Then it would penetrate the bacteria with a little tube, which is called penetration. And then through that tube, it would inject the DNA in the bacteria. So I've done this much. The next thing that I have to draw is what happens um, when the DNA goes in the bacteria. So I'm going to draw that. So Snapfish says, if there is no cure for common cold, why would there be a cure for COVID? Both coronaviruses with immune escape. Yeah, we'll see. We will see. At least we can reduce the severity. At least that is how much they are trying to do. Okay, so John says, I think they look like FBI drones. Yes. Okay, so the next part that I have to draw is there. So I usually write a script for the lecture and then I work with that. So the next part is once the DNA enters a bacterium, it can either become immediately engaged with the bacterial ribosome and start producing production of phage proteins. Okay, so let's do that. So now we have to make the DNA entering, engaging with the bacterial ribosome. So what I should do is this. I should take this bacteria. Actually, no, it's too busy. I'm going to make a new bacteria. So here, this is what I do. So here comes the new bacteria. So so this is the bacteria. This bacteria knows that it is in trouble. So it is kind of crying. And so we'll make little crying tears from the bacteria. Can you imagine? I do this the whole day for Dr. Bean lectures and for your lectures. Okay, so now the bacteria is crying. Donald says your enthusiasm is infectious. Thank you very much. I just love this. Okay, so bacteria is now crying, and we'll make a little tiny structure on it of the bacteriophage. I would rather maybe bring in this last bacteriophage. I just bring in the copy of this guy, not this one, this one. I'll bring a copy of this out here. And I close this one. So now I have that little bacteriophage, and I'm going to move that. It does take this kind of effort to make these lectures. And then can you imagine? I give them all in $97 or $67. It's crazy. Okay, so now we have the bacteriophage DNA. So now what we want to make is a bunch of ribosomes that are going to be working on this DNA. So we go in here, we take this favorite brush. This is too big. So I always make this little rounded thing over here to kind of depict that this is an openable structure. So now here, this DNA is engaged, right? John says it's great to watch in real. So yeah, this is what happens. Kind of a when you're doing it, it's a chore, but I actually just laugh at my own drawings. So now the ribosome is working on it. So I will bring in this and write it here, and I'll say ribosome. Then the we go back here. Now the ribosome is going through the DNA and it is making proteins. So these proteins, let's say this is the sheath that is being made. So then there is this sheath lying around. There is a collar plate lying around here. These things are here. And then maybe some legs, one leg, two leg, three legs, four legs. So these are the pieces of the pathogen. Then I should make some heads here as well. So these are some heads. Then maybe I should attach a little tube with it. I should make a few copies of these. So now we have a bunch of components of the virus that have been made. I am sorry if you are you are looking for me to talk. I hope it is okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I'm gonna merge these. Okay, maybe I can merge them all, these all. Okay, so now we have a bacteria that has an infection. Okay, and the viruses are formed. Then what happens is now we need to make the viruses emerging from it. So I'll go here, to this place and I'll break at a few places, and we will then take this bacteriophage. Which one should we get? This one or this one? I think we should bring in this bacteriophage. So if I go in here, open this guy and see. Okay, so I think I can take this guy and this, take a copy of these guys and bring them out here. Okay, so now we've gotten these little guys that have been assembled and they are now exiting. Let's make one more of these. And that's it. So now what has happened is that the bacteriophage came in, brought in its DNA. So Doug said, is this not mischief? No, this is Photoshop. I do a little more polished work for Dr. Beans because I can spend more time on it. Secondly, I store these little symbols so that I can reuse them. So Snapfish says bacteria, bacterium also. So single bacterium is bacterium and plural is bacteria. Broken says love Photoshop. Yes. Me too. So sorry. So now I think I want to give some color to this ribosome because the ribosome seems to be a little bland. So if I go to my highlighter, this is my highlighter. If I increase the brush size, okay, so ribosome. So here is our little ribosome. Now the layer needs to go down. Okay, now it looks better. Although it would be awesome if there are some texture. For example, if I make tiny lines like these here and here, then something like this, it kind of, the texture gives a little more importance because this thing would look detailed and so people would see what's going on here. Doug says, isn't Photoshop for forging documents? I don't know. I use it. It has become a great painting software. It started with the photoshopping, but now it is a great painting software. Adobe has another program called Lightroom that is now better for photoshopping. Photoshop has become painting. So now we have the pathogens exiting. So this all can go in a group. This group, perfect. That is a group. So this is um, what are the two types of the bacteriophage? Temperate and fulminant. So can become integrated temperate bacteria that have phage integration in their genome called lysogenic. As before is translated, application start bacterium will be lysed into some temperate will not allow the bacterial chromosome called temperate phage. Okay, so I I think it is called fulminant infection, but anyways, I didn't write it down. I'm gonna now create a little more texture for this pathogen bacteria. So here, little holes in the bacteria through which these little guys are gonna get out. So I think we should give this these little holes a color. So if I go in here, I take this and I color it gray, it would look like we are looking in the bacteria from those broken pieces. So that is done. Now let's make some um, cracks in the bacteria, like it is dying. So you make these little um, triangular structures, and they look like, and the branching things like this, and they look like that is a crack in this structure. The thing is breaking down. So the bacteria is now breaking down. The bacteriophages are coming out. Bacteria is crying because it knows it's this is the end. And we should make some flagella of the bacteria as well. We should throw some pieces of the bacteria on the floor. These are the broken apart pieces, right? And now we just make a few flagella. We don't want to gather too much attention with the flagella, but it would look comical that bacteria is kind of dead. Okay, so now this is a dead bacteria. We'll make crosses in its eyes for it to it's dying. Dead. I would love to make a little tongue here as well, but I know I cannot. I do not know how to make it. Little tongue here of dead bacteria. You're like, yeah, I'm dead. should be a red color tongue. So if I did this and I did this and I colored it red, will it look like a tongue? So Opai Ami says, does bacteria ever die? No, so it never lives as well. So this is really bacteriolysis, we say. Bacteriolysis is really breakdown of the bacteria. That is its death. John, I am using Cintiq Wacom 13 HD, so 13 inch. I would love to have this 22-inch with this little, arm on it and draw on it. Maybe I'll buy that sometimes. But this is a 13-inch. Okay, so this is the fate of this bacteria. Now, if we can write here what's going on, we'll go here to this group. We'll say bacteriolysis. And I'm going to turn off the auto select. It is already off. I'm going to make it a little smaller and bring it here. Then I'll add now ribosome. Then we'll see um, phages assemble. Then we'll say here we'll say phages exit, and then we'll say bacteriolysis. Bacteria is destroyed in this process. That will become the title. This auto select on, phage exit, phage assemble. And I will then voice over the rest. So I can now draw that phages are exiting. Snapfish, thank you. Question, Dr. Bean, does anyone know if amantadine helped them with COVID or other viruses? No, I don't think amantadine is known to, but it is an antiviral. So I haven't seen any studies about that. Okay, so bacteriophage, bacteriolysis. So this is one. I think this bacteriolysis can be here. All right. So this is done. So this is one more thing done. I can voice over it to explain what it is showing. Done, close, and lock. Then next one. Next one, I believe, is the last one. How are you all doing here? Are you getting bored? Meanwhile says, I'm not a doctor, but it personally helped me. Okay, so you're not bored, right? I'm sure Dr. Bean would love one of the huge ones. That's basically the computer screen. This is the same one. So if it is a computer screen and I'm drawing on it, but it is 13 HD. I still love it. It's a beautiful one. But now I'm hoping I can get the bigger one and then work on it. Raghav says, is there a way to make the humoral response of vaccines better without having to use the latest variant? Yes, if you keep giving the same vaccine, every time you give it, there'll be affinity maturation, plus there will be detection of new epitopes and new antibodies will be formed. So body would continue to improve the immunity, but if it is variant based, and that is fine as well. Variant based would make it even faster, the target. Otherwise body would just slowly, with each booster it would keep improving, but now the problem is you have to just keep taking boosters. Alicia says, not bored, I'm practicing my ukulele while I'm watching the drawing. You should play for us. Meanwhile, in America says, I'm curious though, did you ever see anything on other antivirals like PrEP in reducing COVID? No, I have not seen it. Maybe I should look for those studies. Maybe there are some. Margaret says, not bored at all. So very good. Good to know. So one more diagram to do. So if you allow me, what is the next concept? The concept is phage whose genetic material integrates with the bacterial chromosome are called temperate phages. The phage whose DNA starts immediate replication and phage production is called virulent. Yes, virulent phage. This was virulent phage. So this is, I'm going to call it so if I go here, take this, call it virulent phage. So virulent phage would immediately infect and kill the bacteria. Do you know that it is such a funny thing? Do you know that um, bacteria or the phage can develop immunity from reinfection? I would just draw that. It is that if sometimes there are phages which, when they integrate in the bacterial DNA, they make a special protein that makes the bacterial wall strong enough not to allow another phage to penetrate. That is how they prevent reinfection and make sure that they survive instead of another infection occurs. So this is a virulent phage. If I go back here, go to the tomorrow I'm going to be interviewing an artist who may be able to help me with these drawings. The problem is my drawings are very specific. They're not stock drawings. And so they have to be. Okay, so Mahmoud Tony says, do COVID variants attack nervous system? So all COVIDs have been known to cause infection of the brain as well, but not in everyone, in some. So generally, yes, they have the capability of doing it. Raghav says, I heard nasal spray makes the protection in the upper respiratory tract better. Is this promising? I agree with this. So when I used the povidone iodine, it really made a lot of difference for my nasal congestion, for my upper airway congestion. It really helped. So I do not know if it helped by reducing the viral load or it just helped in general. Or was it a placebo effect? But there was an effect. Okay, so last concept, is it last? Something like last. So in this concept, the phage DNA becomes integrated in bacterial DNA. Then Okay, so let's do that. We take the same bacteria, duplicate group, all right, so now we remove some of the things from here. For example, we're going to call this temperate temperate phage. When temperate phage arrives, it does not immediately become attached to the, I'm trying to say, I should do a better job of of naming the layers and making them one component at a time. But anyways, so I'm gonna have to now, these can stay there. This needs to go. This needs to go. I think it's just not. These are gone. How about this gone? Ouch. Okay, so that I need. This can go. How is this? Okay. So a bunch of things are gone. I still need to delete some. Okay, so I'm going to bring in this selection system, and I should have just drawn it again. It's going to be so much of work to just delete this. So bacteria is still going to be crying, but it is not going to be broken down. See, I should have just made a new bacteria. Oh well. I hope you are drawing with me. So you're also going through the same movements and then cursing me. Okay, so now this one, we should remove all these little pieces. Nothing is broken. Then we take this brush, come here, too thick, and increase this. Repaired the dying bacteria. Okay, so now we have the bacteria here. This DNA becomes, so if I make now bacterial DNA, and then I integrate this DNA. Now, this bacteria is, of course, not, it is crying, but it's not dead. So, actually, it doesn't even know what happens. It's not even crying. Okay. Back here, repair. See, I should have just drawn a new bacteria. Too much repairs. It looks stunned. So let's say, let's make it angry. The mouth looks odd. Okay, so mouth is fine too. Now make mouth at this angle. Okay, so this is an angry bacteria who's just lying down there. Larry says, I'm doing my college music composition homework while watching this. Nostalgic for other college time 35 years ago. I studied biology. Look, I'm still studying biology. Idania says, this is Photoshop. Yes, this is Photoshop. Sita says, you could sell educational games in which people put the whatever on the something else, like this. You're repairing the bacteria. Yes, they could actually. I could make symbols and then people can assemble things together. These little guys pooping kill me. Yes. So they actually bring in the DNA inside through those tubes. Okay, so now we need to clean this a little more. Give him a little more of arms. He's like, what the heck are you doing to me? So he's all upset. I think one of his hands should have this little fingers. Do you think anyone would notice that it has fingers? I think I'm going to get audited by American Medical Association for drawing fingers on the flagella. Okay. Okay. So now we have, there is no phage assembly. Phage exit is not there. So this, if I did this and auto select, phage exit is not there. Assembly is not there. Instead of ribosome, this is phage genes integrated in the bacterial genetic material. So this is a time bomb inside the bacteria. So what I should do is I should move this little part from here and slightly away like this, so that I can bring this guy over here, maybe make it a tiny bit smaller. Okay, so now we are saying that the phage gene has become integrated. So if we make a tiny brush stroke from here to here. Okay. Right? So this bacteria is going to be called production of a lysogenic of a lysogenic bacteria. So here what is happening is that the phages, remember there was a lot of hoopla that the vaccine gene are going to integrate into our genes and then we're going to have problems. This is how integration actually works. So here phages DNA is going to integrate into bacterial DNA, and that is by design. And now this bacteria is called lysogenic bacteria. Why is it called lysogenic? I'll voice over it, but that is because as soon as its DNA is going to be processed, it's going to start making phages because this phage has inserted its viral DNA here. It's a true virus activity to just hide in its brain. So let's give it a little color here, a little shade. So that kind of gives a feeling that it is sitting at the desk, at this little surface. Here is this phage genes integrated in the bacteria, integrated in the bacterial genetic material. Okay, production of a lysogenic bacteria. This is a temperate phage. A temperate phage is a more uh, temperamental, it has a better temper. It can sit there, integrate its DNA, and then wait for this bacteria to process. So now what would happen is, next stage, so I'm going to close this. I need a copy of this guy. So I'm going to make a copy. Going to lock this one away. Then go in here. Okay. Now what do we need to do? We need to remove this phage. Okay, so let's see if there are questions. John says, what font type are you using? John, this is my handwriting. So there is a online software. I think it is called Fontographer or something. So you can give it your handwriting. It gives you a character sheet where it has written A, B, C, and you write in your own handwriting on top of it. Then you feed it back and it creates a font for you. So this font is my handwriting. Although it didn't do a very good job, but still. Cynthia saying poor bacteria. Yes. So he is getting all kinds of problems. This is a bacterial. Now this bacteria is under pandemic by this phage. Edania says new layer. Yes. So I'm gonna erase the phage now because now this bacteria is already lysogenic, meaning it already has a prophage injected in it. And so Edania says, so I want to put my handwriting on a regular, as a regular tablet or a special tablet. I'll get. So what happens is this. Let me see if I can show you. I believe it is called Font Calligrapher. I think this is the one. So yes, this is the program, Calligrapher. You're using a free version. So if I go to features, go here. So here in the Calligrapher, start app. Here what you do is, see, these are my fonts. So it gives you a downloadable PNG file that looks like this. And so on that file, you just write whatever it says you to write. And then you upload it and it would immediately make that into a font. Then you download the font and install it. Sita says, I love that your handwriting can be a font. Yes. Parth is here. Hey, Parth, how are you? Opai Ami says whatever he's using, it's clear. Thank you. So, all right. So let's keep plowing through this little thing. I would actually record it tonight. Okay. So we have to make some changes to this guy. First, we need to erase this little bacteriophage on it. So that's here. I should have a symbol. I should have had a symbol of the bacteria, so I didn't have to repair it so many times. Poor bacteria. Okay, so that is fine. Bacteriophage is fine. Okay, so now this little thing is called, so that integrated DNA is called prophage, because it is not a virus, but it will become a virus. So this is one step before the virus. It's a prophage. Parth, you know these things, right? Right, Parth? So this is the bacteriophage and the prophage and lysogenic bacteria and so on. I hope you know this. Pa says I'm on a Pomodoro break. Good. Yes. Donald says Dr. Bean, the artist formerly known as Mobeen Sayed. Yes, in microbiology, correct. So I'm creating the microbiology lectures, and that's why. Robin says, uh, Mahmood Tony has a question. Can you talk about how vaccination can affect the cirrhotic patients? So, of course, I cannot discuss exactly what will happen to a person. Cirrhosis problem associated with the cirrhosis is that whenever we have inflammation where the liver has to make acute phase reacting proteins or CRP or complement systems, depends upon how much is the cirrhosis, liver may not be able to make enough. That doesn't really matter a lot. It's just that the inflammation will be lesser. So that is one. If the liver itself becomes overwhelmed by the amount of inflammation produced by the vaccine, then it could be said that it can kind of become damaged. But I have never heard that kind of a problem with cirrhosis. So talk with your hepatologist as well. It should not, and this idea that somehow vaccines go and damage liver is not correct. They put a stress on the liver because liver has to produce acute phase proteins. Liver has to participate in inflammation. Vaccines cause inflammation, correct? Because they're training the immune system, so they kick the immune system. Part of the immune system activation is the innate arm activation. Part of that activation is liver's participation of making complement proteins, acute phase reactants, for example, C-reactive protein, um, hepcidin, ferritins. Then on top of this, there is a increased energy demand as well. And then interleukin 1, interleukin 6 are acting on the liver as well, and they are asking it to work. So it's just that liver may not work as efficiently, but that's all. Guide Alpha says, do bacteriophages make macrophages? No, bacteriophages are the smallest ever things. Pat says, I love your immunology lectures. Save my life in exams, and immunology is my favorite. Very good. Usually, immunology is not favorite of many because they don't understand it. But I've seen that if you understand it well, you will fall in love with immunology. So with this, let's continue to draw. So now what we need to do is, this is a prophage. So we got this guy here. So I'll explain what prophage is. Then integrated in there, that is fine. Production of the lysogenic bacteria, that is okay as well. I'm gonna remove this little highlight. Where is it? Okay. Okay, so the diagram before and the diagram this, the only difference between the two is that it says prophage over here. So I'll explain that as well. Next, now we have to make the final part where when the bacterial DNA becomes active, then this DNA will become active as well. So let's see how to do that. If I do this and here, I want to change the thing a little bit. So if I made, let's say, here's a brush, this brush. So if we took bacterial DNA that is also integrated with viral DNA, okay, so here we have a bacterial DNA. This DNA is, I'll explain that this is sitting in a bacterium. And then I'll go to a highlighter, take this color, slightly. So I want to give a different color on the inside just to kind of show a shadow. Slight shadow here on the outside. The shadows are messed up, but oh well. So then here is the prophage. Prophage. Okay. Now when this DNA will become transcribed, so for the transcription, I'm going to make little polymerases. Correct. So these polymerases will start here. So we'll make a little so now we have a polymerase here. So it is going to transcribe the DNA. So I'm going to say transcription. So when the transcription occurs, then the messenger RNA that is produced will have, so if I make a little, So if I make a little ribosome, my brush looks wrong. Right, so this is the ribosome. So when the transcription occurs and the messenger RNA is formed, so let's say this is the messenger RNA, and then once again viral proteins are produced and the viruses will be produced and the bacteria would die once more. So here transcription, then M messenger RNA formation, then Parth, what is the next step? Translation, and then virus phage proteins formed, assembled and released. So this would also cause lysis. So should I just write it now that I've explained it before? Causing bacterial lysis. Done. Okay, so if these are the structures, if I put them all together in a group, then move this whole group in the center. Done. This is lysogenic bacterial activation. Bacterial outcome. Okay, so this is done. What is left? Actually, okay, so these proteins will not allow more. Okay, so I'll just voice over that. Genetic material packaging. Okay, I'll voice over that as well. So if I go here, done. Okay. So the concept of lysogenic immunity, correct? Lysogenic immunity and transduction. So I'm going to make one more, this, and just right here, concepts of lysogenic immunity and transduction. So I will close here by explaining what is lysogenic immunity, and for transduction, I'll say we'll discuss that in our next lecture. Done. Oh, some nude people came up. Let's block them. Already blocked. Zita says, is there a typo in the drawing? Let's see. Concepts of lysogenic immunity and transduction. This seems to be okay. Let's see. Yes, here. The transcription. Thank you very much for catching that. Transcription. That is correct. translation, mRNA formation, phage. Thank you very much for catching that. Okay, so that is done. Then final is this. So John says, if you use your created font type, can we sign your checks? Yes. My signatures are actually on these diagrams as well, illustrations. For example, today when I was doing this one, uh, this one, do you see my signature here? So that is what you can use in the check. Some of these I like them so much that I sign them. Sunset Way says, Dr. Bean sir, do you think there is a more risk with a third dose of BF5 for 12-year-old with no prior COVID? More risk with the third dose? That is a difficult one. For example, we are planning to travel, and my son has 2 doses, and his college is saying that he needs to have the third dose. So we are all scratching our head to say, what do we do? The problem is, it is really a lottery. The infection can cause long COVID, and the vaccine can cause injury. Most of the time, injury is after the second dose. If first and second dose are not harmful, then usually third doses are not, but there is no guarantee. Snapfiz is throwing out the terms correct: transduction, transcription, translation. Yep. Yes. So my wife was already injured. So now she doesn't travel ever, or she gets the third dose. Travel to a place where she want to go and meet her family. Zita says, I loved watching you do this. And thank you very much for catching the spelling mistake as well. So now what will happen is, let me show you how I then record it. Um, I will record just um, just the screen part and my own picture. And I'll just go from here, that here is we're going to talk about bacteriophage, and bacteriophage are called bacteriophage for this reason. And then here is how these are assembled, and here is how they look, and this is how they eat bacteria, and then this is their habitat, and this is so then I'll just keep going one by one and voice over it. And that's it. That will become a lecture. John says, can we watch you interview your potential artist? We need to approve of him or her. Absolutely. So I haven't decided a time for Saturday, but this Saturday, hopefully 10 a.m. So if you would like to join my Zoom, it's the same Zoom as I use for the walk. I can post that in the Discord as well, or you can send me an email. maybe info at Dr. Bean, and I can share the Zoom and we can interview together. Idania says, can we have a drawing lesson? Absolutely. I've done some drawing lessons on this channel. So I hope you had a chance to look at that. OP Ami says, what artist? So I'm trying that I get some help from an artist. My hands start becoming very tired for working throughout the day. So Hilary says, love the drawings for transcription and translation and ribosome. Thank you. You're very welcome. I love the samurai. Do you know how I made the samurai? I first used AI, and I said to AI to create a cat ninja, and it made that little samurai structure. And then I drew that. Margaret says, Zoom, pray for me. Hopefully, you'll be able to Zoom. Texas says, oh, to the poor bacterium. Yes, this bacterium is in trouble, is dying. Cynthia says, I'll be watching both of this Eve's shows after this. Thank you very much, Cynthia. And the one Cool Bean who was asking about the child, just generally, children have less severe outcomes, and a couple of doses are good enough. But still, I can't make that decision. I cannot give you an advice. Excellent. Zita says that I'm fairly new here, so haven't seen the drawing lessons, but I will check them out. Shopping for a tablet tonight. Excellent. Tell me which tablet you buy. And most of the drawings are, I'm not a professional artist, I just do it because I love it. So most of these are making little cartoons. Joey says, question for future show. Okay, what is the question, Joey? Just says, that's funny, my cat's name is Ninja, she's black. Yes, so I actually said a ninja cat in hell because what I wanted to do was I wanted to make gut. This was the Clostridium difficile I was doing. So imagine the gut is like the deeper worlds of hell, and there are lots of tunnels and fire, and that's the inside of the gut. And then the cat ninja is standing there. That's what I was trying to do. Margaret says, thank you for the wonderful evening. Thank you very much for being here, Margaret. Joey says, could you do a future show on having cancer and doing autophagy? Yes, I think that's a very important show to make sure that we discuss the risks and benefits of autophagy during cancer. So I'll do it. I'll see how today's lecture is received. I'm seeing that sometimes it's just not well received at all. And then it kind of um, so, but I think that's a very important topic to do. So I'll do it. So Joey says, is it true cancer feeds off debris of autophagy? It would eat up every nutrient it can find. So it would accelerate the autophagy as well. It would just do whatever it can to get nutrients. Opiami says, are you vegetarian or vegan? None. So I only eat halal meat. So if I'm outside of the home and I'm at a place where there is no halal meat, then I become fish eater or vegetarian. But if I can get halal meat, then I eat it. Dania says Scavenger. That's not nice, Dania. Yes, yes. So I'll do the discussion. Here it says, I just finished watching the autophagy video. Loved it. Your drawings are so clever and helpful. Thank you very much. Yeah. Yes. Yes, it is a scavenger. I thought you said to me, you are very welcome, Hilary. Nicolene, thank you. I thought I'll bore you all with this little. I spend my whole day doing it, so I'm used to. Plus, I do it with love. So I thought you'll be bored, but thank you very much if you enjoyed it. So let's break for today. I will now take a break for half an hour. Then I would record this one, and that would close my day. Texas is wonderful, soothing giggles. Thank you. I still remember in the very beginning when, so I've been on the YouTube for some time, but people noticed it during COVID. So somebody became so upset with me that they said, stop giggling, do not giggle anymore. But that's not something that I can help. Okay, excellent. Ragheb says, what blood cells we can live without? I don't think we can live without the blood cells, but here is the deal. White blood cells are for immunity. There are people whose white cells go down drastically low and they can still work with it. It's just that when they become infected, they cannot handle it very well. So, red blood cell, we cannot live without them. Platelets have to be there. We cannot live without them. But many other immune cells, we can, depending upon how less they are, we can survive for some time. Yeah, Luffy has started making a noise. So, with this, thank you very much. And I would see you tomorrow. Bye bye for now.